I am the still eligible robot. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe.
How many coffees did you have today?
I had a 20-ounce Red Bull.
On brand. What is up? Welcome back. We are right next to the ideation room, still in Plano. Pat Stanzik, Jack Schrail. We had a great interview today. We just had an interview with Mark Titus, Mark the Shark.
Electric.
It was electric. He was funny. He's awesome.
Great dude.
We were entertained. We're gonna hopefully entertain you. We're not gonna mess around too much today. We're gonna talk real quick Masters. I got something to say real quick before that, and then we're gonna hop in the interview. Well, a quick appreciate you too, because we know you appreciate the appreciate-yous, and we appreciate you appreciate the appreciate.
How many coffees have you had today? Is the real question.
2. Cold brew killers. So before we get into it, Pat, I gave you a lot of crap all the time, social media, in person, whatever.
You do.
Yesterday, Monday. Today is Tuesday. Recording this on Tuesday, dropping on Thursday. Happy birthday, man.
Thank you.
33. I shred you on social, but we had a nice dinner.
Shredded.
A nice dinner.
We did.
I enjoyed hanging out with you as much as I don't, but there we go.
My Instagram comment summed it up. I love you most of the time. Yeah.
You texted me XO, too. That was nice.
XOXO.
Oh, was it double XO?
Yeah.
Anyway, so there's that. Happy birthday, Pat.
Thanks,
we'll have
man.
to do
Love
it.
you.
We'll have to do it for my birthday sometime, maybe in September.
Maybe not.
Cool.
We will.
My birthday's also on a Monday. I just checked.
Oh.
Nobody cares. All right, so the Masters were this weekend.
They were. Hideki.
How about him? First Japanese male golfer to ever win a major. Did you see the picture of him hopping back on the plane, connecting flight in Chicago?
Just flying commercial.
And just like the jacket draped over the seats.
I just want to know what that security guard was like when he saw him.
Sir, no
out.
jacket says you come through security today.
You fold that for me, please. That was an amazing picture. And then his caddy bowing after.
Caddy bowing was all time. That was super cool.
That was awesome.
I got a lot of love, as it should have.
Very cool moment.
I enjoyed it.
Will Zalatoris is going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Love him.
Love his game.
Around here, we love a man by the name of Owen Wilson, and he did a great impersonation. It sounded a lot like this.
Wow.
Beautiful timing, Sandra.
Great job, Sandra.
Yep. And, he's from Plano. We're filming in Plano. I've said it once, said it 1,000 times. Born and raised here. Well, I think he was born in San Francisco, but who isn't? And
everyone's born in San Francisco.
Everybody. Honestly, everybody. And, so we're gonna get him on the pod. We'll just say
on the range, on the
pod. There's a few tweaks that I saw in his swing that if we corrected it, I think he could have taken it home. I mean, he only lost by a stroke, but
that's the main reason we want him on the podcast is to fix his swing.
Yeah, it's definitely good.
Yeah.
There's just a few.
Just a few things.
You saw that thing at the top where if he cleaned it up, it would have been good. So there we go.
Also looks like the Mr. Gilmore, I'm Your Caddy kid from Happy Gilmore.
He did.
So that was cool too. That was just a nice little
He got a shout out from Adam Sandler.
He did. That's big.
Schauffele?
Yeah, triple bogey on 16. Apparently cost him $575,000. The difference between second and tied for third.
That's a lot of money.
That's it's got to be tough to see that replay.
Yeah,
and know that you're.
I'm sure he's doing all right, but you hate to see that.
Not good. Spieth looked good.
Honestly, better than I expected. I know we go back and forth.
He was hitting it around. Some of his drives were like all over the place, which was.
Spieth is honestly, I think, both of our top 3, top 2, top 1 favorite golfer currently. I love him. And that's why I'm so hard on him, because I'm like, I want the best for you. Yeah. And the curse, whether it's real or not, I don't know. But we're going to speak it into existence. We're Team Spieth. Always
get him on the pod too. Don't need to fix the swing too much.
No, it's butter.
Jon Rahm was. I heard him say in an interview that he was like hitting it well all week, but just like the wind was like messing with it on Saturday, and
That's
then Sunday.
My problem. Yeah.
Me too. And then Sunday he just finally got it together and he played lights out. Won $437,000.
Yeah, and we talked about how many diapers that would equate to.
Yeah,
and I looked up diapers and prices and counts, and honestly, that's too much money and too many. There's way too much mathematics. I've never been a mathematics guy.
You got to create a formula, not baby formula, but a mathematic formula.
Boom. There you go. So that's our Masters recap. You have anything else to say?
No, just love a good Sunday. On the couch,
Sunday,
watching
it's
the
a
Masters.
Tradition unlike any other, Pat.
It is.
It really is.
So that was great.
That was beautiful.
Great sports weekend. Not many sports going on, but that's like one of my Masters. Exactly, one of my favorite days. So we got one appreciate you. I'll just set it up for you. You can knock it out of the park like you always do.
Oh man.
For new listeners, we use Jack's catchphrase. Appreciate you. We let people / topics who did some cool stuff this week. We just let them know that we appreciate them. So, without further ado.
There's a lot to be appreciative for. Say it once, said 1,000 times. Thanksgiving, it's a great day to be thankful for. That's not our appreciate you, though. Our appreciate you is to you, the listener, the people at home, the people in your car, the people working out, the people doing whatever you're doing. I frankly don't care what you're doing, but we appreciate
do whatever you want while you
listening to the podcast. So we appreciate you. We're not going to do more than one because I'm already rambling too long, but we appreciate you sticking around and listening to this interview with Mark Titus. It is a great interview. I had fun. Pat even does a Dickie V impersonation.
I did.
He did it.
I'm not going to do it anymore.
Give him a tease. Give him a tease.
Nope. Sandra's saying they got to get to the interview to hear it. That was the tease.
All right. So that being said, all of our listeners at home, at wherever, Godspeed. We appreciate
you.
Boom. That might have been sloppy, but it's done nonetheless. Pat, happy birthday, brother.
Thank you.
Let's hop right into the interview.
Yeah, Mark Titus. Let's do it. I like how you're dancing even though we're like in chairs.
I do love to dance. What is going on? We have a great guest today. We are super excited to have him here. Co-host of the Titus and Tate podcast, which airs Tuesdays and Fridays on Fox Sports Westwood 1, former writer for The Ringer and Grantland, creator of Club Trill, and the most famous walk-on in the history of all of walk-ons, fellow Buckeye, Mark Titus.
I would say Rudy would disagree with that last part. Rudy is you're going to be hearing from Rudy's PR team. They're not going to be happy that you called me the most famous walk-on, but my PR team loved it. Yeah, my PR team was like, yeah, we'll take that. That's great.
That's who we got in front of us. Rudy will get over it. I've actually met Rudy. Good guy. Short, small guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Long story, but my uncle used to coach at Notre Dame. He was there back in the Barsegan era.
Before you tell me too much and ruin this vision I have of Rudy, if I'm wrong, just don't say anything. And if I'm right, please reaffirm my beliefs. I get the feeling that Rudy was probably not beloved by all the guys that he like. The scene where they all like bring their jerseys in, and they're like, "This one's for Rudy, coach." I have a feeling it did not go that way, and like all the guys were like, "This dude is the biggest tryhard loser I've ever met in my life." And that's kind of how I always picture it. Like having gone through the walk-on experience myself. I just imagine, like, if I was Rudy, all my teammates would have just been giving me swirlies every single day after practice. You know.
I have a feeling you're up to something. I think.
All right, good.
Yeah, we'll leave it there.
So you just got back from the bubble. We wanna know how was life being back in LA and how was it? How bubbled up were you, first of all?
The bubble was very much. I'm sorry to report the integrity of the bubble was compromised. The bubble was not as bubblicious as I think the NCAA would lead you to believe, but they called it a controlled environment, and I'm not sure what they were quite controlling, but I don't know. It was weird, man. I'll be honest, because I'm from Indianapolis, and I've been going to Final Fours in Indy my whole life. I don't necessarily always go to, like, we couldn't afford tickets growing up, but like I vividly remember in 2000 when the Final Four came to Indy. They had like exhibitions all week at the convention centers and downtown and all that stuff. And my mom would drive me downtown first thing every morning, all throughout the entire week, and because we'd be on like spring break or something in school. And I would just spend the entire day downtown, just like walking around, taking in everything. They had like all these like games that kids could play, and coaches were speaking, and it was like this whole deal. And I just say that to say that like I've been going to downtown Indianapolis for Final Fours forever, and this was by far the weirdest one because all of the familiar things were there in the sense that they had, restaurants would have things put up in their windows like welcome to Hoosier Hysteria, whatever, like everyone was trying to put on the show, but there was no one there. It was so weird. So it's like a ghost town. You're like walking around and like all the restaurants are trying, they're like, welcome basketball fans, come on in. And you're like, who's that sign for? There's nobody here. So it was very bizarre, but the city does the best. It's an awesome city for the Final Four. I don't know if you guys have ever been for a Final Four, but it is, they knock it out of the park every year because Indy, I always say Indy's like the perfect city. Number one, because everyone there loves basketball. Obviously, like it's an event that everybody from Indianapolis takes a lot of pride in hosting. But also, Indy's a perfect size city because it's big enough to have all the resources you need. They built like the JW Marriott, so they have like the swanky hotels now that people bitch about. They used to bitch about with Indy is like, there's nowhere, there's nowhere I have a 5-star hotel. It's like, now you do. You have a couple options. So it's big enough, it has enough resources, but it's also small enough that the entire city rallies behind it, Like some of the other big cities that will host it, if you hosted it in Manhattan, like 80% of the city's like, what the hell is going on? You ask someone, you're like, how do you feel about the Final Four? You're like, what is that? Is that going on right now? In Indiana, it's like everyone is like, I'm behind this. This is awesome. We're so excited for it. So anyway, that's my spiel. It was still fun, still a good time, but it was definitely weird not having a full crowd there of people. So
it is a good time. I've been there a few times for Big Ten championship for football, which Pat knows nothing about.
Never.
It's a cool spot. It's all like interweb too. Like all the buildings are like attached through walkways and whatnot. I don't know.
It's very walkable. Yeah, like everything you're trying to get to is within walking distance and right there downtown, nice and compact. So yeah, maybe someday Pat will go for an event that I guess Michigan basketball Big Ten tournament is probably your best shot at getting the downtown Indy experience.
I went to Chicago. I feel like the year it was there and was kind of doing stuff with the team. That may be the closest I ever get. So
I'm trying to think that Michigan, because Michigan's been great in Big Ten tournaments recently. Obviously, I'm trying to think of did they win one in Indy or was it Chicago? And because the one they won before the 2018 run was in Madison Square Garden, was it not? I seem to remember that, so I'm trying to think if
I feel like the one where like with the plane crash and the practice.
The plane crash one, that was Indy. Yeah,
practice.
That's right.
About that.
And they were wearing they showed up wearing practice jerseys and beat the snot out of somebody. I forget who that was. Illinois maybe.
I think it was Illinois.
Yeah, probably Illinois. It's funnier if it's Illinois. It's a little sales.
They had a rough go around this tournament as well.
Yeah.
All right. So last night you were busy last night, right? The Duffys last night. Now you've done it for a few years. Big awards, prestigious awards, the most prestigious awards in all of college basketball. We want to dissect some of your picks. Some of them we agree with.
Now hang on a second. I want to make something very clear here. These were not my picks.
You were just announcing the picks.
We are simply the hosts of the show. We have no idea who decides the winners of these picks, who makes the decisions here. So before people get mad at me, I do not make the picks.
It's the academy.
Well, then maybe you'll agree with some of our takes.
Okay, go ahead.
We'll
please.
See. All right. Well, we checked it out this morning. It was awesome. So the first award that we agree with, the committee, if you will, was the Comeback of the Year award. We here at Still Eligible are big Sister Jean fans. I'm gonna take a second to step back and show you what I'm working with here. Yeah. We've got here, I'm step back down. I saw enough. I was at Trader Joe's earlier today, and the guy checking me out, I think he went to high school with Sister Jean, but he goes, "Is that the Air Jordan Sister Jean dunking in a wheelchair shirt?" And I go, "Exactly what it is." So we're big Sister Jean fans.
That's legit that he picked up the reference. You know, that's pretty awesome.
So we're fans of that. I think. I mean, are you cool with that? Is that your comeback?
I was cool. I think Sister Jean was the obvious choice for comeback of the year because I mean we all fell in love with Sister Jean. I was worried. I will be honest. I was worried that we would get Sister Jean fatigue this time around. So I think Loyola played it smart by losing to Oregon State. They preserved America's love for Sister Jean, because I think if Loyola goes to a Final Four and we get yet another week of it, it's like, what more can you say about this woman? Where I feel like the casual fans would turn on her. That's how the internet works.
Oh yeah,
overexposure is a hell of a thing, and I feel like we were getting close to that. And then they play Oregon State, and Dana Jacobson does some counter journalism with Sister Jean and like just Googles like old people in Oregon and finds this guy Bud Ossie and she does like a report where she's like, Sister Jean is not the only old fan watching this game. There's one other guy. There's a guy in Oregon who's very old as well. His name is Bud. And then that was it. And that was the report. And you're like, is there a story behind Bud?
No.
Does he like pray for the team too? And they're like, no, he's just old. He likes
old.
Oregon State.
He likes them.
And I think that was good because it like counterbalanced that we can't have too much, So I think the Sister Jean run this year was perfect. I was very worried about the overexposure, but it ended up being awesome. She kind of evolved too. She was into analytics this year. We learned.
Yeah.
She was Sister Jean has a Kim Pom subscription, I think.
Do you think Sister Jean's got another run in her? And I didn't mean that in not a health standpoint, but in Loyola Chicago.
No, of course, yeah. She's immortal.
She's never gonna.
The worry is Porter Moser leaving. Obviously,
Yeah.
like, what does that mean for the program? Denzel Valentine's brother has taken over, which I think is carries some cachet in Chicago. That's got to matter. So maybe he'll take what's been built and run with it, and that'll be that. But is he going to be receptive of Sister Jean's involvement in the program? I don't know. There's a lot of questions. There's a lot of questions around Loyola right now. So anyway,
it's fair. It's a good point.
So the next pick, don't worry, we do have some like alternate picks here, but this one we also agree for the bad guy.
Buckle up for this.
Yeah, get ready. We agree. Dickie V with the Pepto-Bismol. We just want to. We don't disagree. We just wanted to say it was an awesome pick, baby. It works on upset stomach, indigestion, and diarrhea. It's a triple threat. It gives a whole new meaning to the term diaper dandy. So that's my Dick Vitale impression.
He does it all.
Lorraine, get the Pepto. Yeah, your impression's better than mine, but yeah, Dickie V was what a run. Like, would you guys agree that he's definitely getting paid for that?
Oh yeah.
It evolved so fast. Like at first it was like, this is kind of funny, and then like he kept talking about Pepto-Bismol, and I was like, what the hell is going on here? Especially because like if I was trying to think of medicines I need to reach for when I'm watching my team and I'm
one of them.
Anxious, you're not thinking Pepto-Bismol, are you?
No.
What?
Unless you got the iPad, you can be watching on the March Madness app in the restroom. You're not. That's not your move.
It just seems so bizarre. It was like that is not what I would be. I would not link that to like being nervous about the outcome of a game. And he was so genius with it. It was so, the pictures he took were so perfect too, that it just looked like an old man trying to figure out a kid. The picture, I don't know if there's this famous picture of a wildlife photographer left his camera in the jungle and a monkey picked it up and took a selfie.
Yeah.
And then there was like a debate about who owned the picture, who was the photographer. Was the monkey the photographer, or was that is what I thought about Dickie V's selfies of Pepto-Bismol. That's what they reminded me of. Is that time the monkey like found a camera and took a selfie, because like it's from wild angles. It's like at no point did he think like, should I retake this or anything like that.
Yeah. It's like the ultimate dad selfie or grandpa selfie or whatever. It's like they don't even realize they took it, or if they did, they're like, that's good. We don't even need to check it. It's like that's what we're working with.
Oh man. So Dickie V got the bag. Good for him. Can you OD on Pepto-Bismol? Because I feel like I feel like he's pushing the limits there, dude. That guy's just chugging Pepto for the last few months. Like, we gotta.
That's just a shitty situation, really.
I hope scientists are monitoring this and like taking some data from.
I mean, him and Sister Jean both still trucking, so good for them.
Yeah, the Pepto twins. Could be. Oh man! All right, so next one. Speaking of Sister Jean, we'll circle back to her. The Cult Hero Award. You guys had Johnny Juzang. We're a big fan of Johnny Juzang. I am specifically that 11 seed beating the 1 seed. You just love to see that,
not so much.
But we took a different angle on it. We took the angle of Christians, which you might be like, what's going on here? I think Christians ran this tournament. We've got Gonzaga, Baylor, Loyola Chicago, Abilene Christian, and UCLA, the City of Angels. So we think the Christians were the underdog story. 3 out of the 4 Final Four. I think you guys might have not you guys, the committee might have overlooked Christians as a whole.
You could argue that Jesus Christ himself was the original cult hero. I mean, that is kind of the
I don't know if that's an argument.
Story. The origin story of Christianity is kind of so this is all adding up. It is all falling into place. Jim Christian, head coach at Boston College, was fired. I don't know how that factors in, but that's where my mind went as well. No, I like that. I like that. This was the first. This was the first 2 private schools that have met since Duke and Butler, I believe, in the title game. And that's only happened. It was only the second time since '85 that happened. So I don't know if that's a thing as well. I don't know, but I like that pick. That's a good call. I like trying to connect things like that. Like the Pac-12 was awesome. There was like a West Coast tournament, and basically just narratives in general. I'm a fan of all of it. I'm a fan of like watching a tournament that is random and makes no sense and is literally called March Madness, and watching people try to apply logic to it and saying like, oh, well, I guess what we're learning is that private schools are actually better. And it's like, we haven't learned anything. What we've learned is that a randomized, event has presented us more chaos like it always does. But we're going to take what happened this year, we're going to apply it to next year, and we're going to say, now remember last year when Abilene Christian beat Texas, that means that if you have a tiny school going up against the big state school in the same state, you should always take that tiny school, and then you're going to be very wrong that time around. And you know what I mean? Exactly. That's always hilarious to me how that works. But
I forget the story. Sandra was telling us it, but it was like a few years ago. These like little kids won their bracket or something because they picked Butler because they say "but" in Butler, and that's what they won the whole bracket strictly because of that. And it's like that's better logic than picking
one way of doing it.
Whoever else. Yeah,
we probably would have beat me, honestly.
I did horrible this year. I came in last out of the 3 of us by far.
I won, but Mark, I got to say it was directly after listening to your guys' picks. So you guys helped me out a lot. So
I helped you. Wow. Yeah, I rarely hear, you know what? I appreciate that, Pat, because I rarely hear from people that say I help them. Like those people don't ever say anything. And it's the people that feel like they lost their life savings because of me. Those are the people that reach out. Yeah. The people that win just don't bother responding. They're too busy counting their money. It's the people that lose that are like, damn you.
Damn you. It helps that he's going up against me.
Well, we also didn't play for anything, so I can't say that I won anything, more just the pride and respect of my coworkers. So thank you. I do appreciate it. We combined an award for the next one to save some time and because it works. Excellence in Journalism and the Coach K Disciple of the Year. So for those 2, you guys had Bruce Pearl and Steve Wojciechowski, respectively. We just combined
them.
The committee did. Sorry.
Yeah.
We just combined them with Jake Piazza, the student reporter who got yelled at by Coach K. We just wanted to combine those 2 together.
Jake Piazza was snubbed. I will say he was just snubbed, all out snubbed in the Duffies. I feel like there was too much Duke and it got overshadowed. But I mean, you really could have, like, the whole story of the season was, to me, looking back on it, really was Duke. Like, there was something Duke. I mean, kind of every season at this point, from a content perspective, has become Duke. Yeah. But my God, this year was there was just something every single week where Coach K is like, cancel the season. Then Duke wins a couple games. He's like, actually, I changed my mind. Let's have the tournament. The Jake Piazza deal, Jalen Johnson opting out. It's like for Duke misses the tournament, but then they like won a couple games in a row, and it's like, are they done yet? And it's like, yeah, they are done, but at the same time, I'll say no just because it's more interesting if we don't know. And then finally it all ends with the walk-on testing positive for COVID at the ACC. Like it was unbelievable. Duke was probably happy with how their season went because I feel like Duke's not even trying to win games anymore or win national titles. They're just trying to like control content. I think that's the bigger play with Duke is like the brand play, you know? Yeah. Keep the brand on the forefront of everyone's mind. And boy, did they do that this year.
They're good at it. Speaking of Duke, real quick, we've been having some debates with Roy Williams retiring and all that stuff. How long do you think Coach K's got left? I mean, we talked about his black hair. I think that's all natural, in my opinion.
Well, you start adding up all the surgeries the man has had. Like, I don't even my question to you, this is the philosophical thing, the ship of thesis situation, where it's at what point have you replaced so many body parts of Coach K that it's no longer Coach K? It's like a new entity that's on the bench because this man has had so many surgeries. His hips have been replaced. His knees have been replaced. I don't. At some point, they're going to upload his consciousness to the cloud, and then at that point, I feel like, you know, like he could live forever, and I think that's the plan. I think that's the goal. I think that's I mean, he coaches at a school with a great medical school attached to it, affiliated with it. I don't think that's a coincidence.
They freeze his body in the off season. I heard when he's not coaching like Team USA. A quick, we're still rolling with Duke, but Michael Savarino, talk about a walk-on. How do you feel about that? Coach K's grandson a few years ago, like I think he was just handed that. Are you offended by that?
Just the idea of just like legacy plays with walk-ons.
Yeah, I mean,
is that what you mean?
That kid doesn't deserve to play anywhere, let alone Duke.
I like it. I mean, the nepotism, the walk-on nepotism. I mean, I can't really talk. Like, I got favoritism. I wasn't Greg Oden's son, but like to a lot of people, I was. You know, so like it's kind of the same deal. No, I like it because it's always good content. You know, like Bill Self's son was a walk-on for him. Tom Izzo's son's currently a walk-on, and it's just like. It's funny and interesting to see how the coaches. Brad Underwood's son is a walk-on, and it's interesting to watch coaches how they handle that with their sons, and when it comes time to put the walk-ons in, like where is their son on the pecking order, or in K's case, his grandson. It's all very fascinating. Like I remember last year, Tom Izzo put in his son to replace on Cassius Winston senior night. They were playing Ohio State. Cassius hits a step back three. I mean, the game was kind of already over, but it was especially a dagger, and it was probably going to be it didn't end up being his last shot, but it felt like it was going to be his last shot at Michigan State. The place is going absolutely nuts. Cassius is kissing the Spartan logo at half court, and Steven Izzo comes out to give him a hug to sub in for him. And I remember watching that thinking, like, that is not a coincidence. Like Tom intentionally put his son in to take out Cassius so he could have like his son hugging Cassius, and you know, like that's how my brain works. I'm on top of all this. I'm connecting all these dots. So anyway, I do support the nepotism walk-ons because I think from a content perspective, it gives me something to keep an eye on with stuff like that. So
we love it.
But no, he probably sucked. I would give him buckets at the same time. Coach K's grandson, yes, he probably sucked.
All right, we got a few more for you. So, image makeover. We love this by the committee. Josh Pastner, the mask man. There's a few Bane references we made, but we were at the Big 12 tournament, and we think that you had him, or the committee had him, but Shaka Smart. I mean, we love the hair comeback.
So hold on, just before you go any further. Jack actually cuts me off a lot during the podcast. I gotta cut him off right now because I feel strongly about this. We actually have Mark Titus as the image makeover.
Wow.
Yeah. We played that up pretty
curious. Well. So why? Dare I ask why? What is the rationale behind this?
I think
the flow.
The lettuce.
The first question we have is, obviously we're fans, but when are you planning on cutting it?
This is I have created a problem for myself that I did not anticipate when I initially started down this road. Like many people, I was growing my hair out not by choice, but because the pandemic happened and the barbers were closed, and it was just a weird time, and I was like, well, I'm just not going to go get my hair cut because like that's not worth getting a disease for, just to get my hair cut. And especially I wasn't really leaving the house much anyway, and I wasn't seeing anybody, and I was like, what's the point of spending money and putting myself at risk, all that kind of stuff. So that was initially the thought. And then stuff starts opening up, and we learn more about the virus and stuff like that. And I think I could have justified doing it, but then I thought, you know what, this could be fun from I don't know. I thought about like a historical perspective when I look back on my life type deal, where it's like, this is a way to mark the passage of time. Like I got my hair cut right before everything shut down, and Rudy Gobert tested positive, which kind of is the starting point for a lot of people.
For everybody.
Yeah, so I got my hair cut like 3 days before that, and then I thought like I will just ride out the entire pandemic at this point, because my hair started getting a little longer, and I was like, I've never had it this long. It's kind of fun, whatever. I'll just keep growing it, and I'll just ride out the pandemic, and then like when the pandemic is over, quote unquote, whatever that even looks like, I'll get it cut, and then that way I'll have the before and after picture, and then when I have kids someday, I can be like, this was how long the pandemic was. Like, it was, my hair went from this to this. That's about all I can tell you, kids, to give you an idea. So that was kind of where my brain was at. But now the problem that has arisen is that, when is the pandemic really over? What defines that?
Sure.
Also, I kind of like the flow, and
Flow
people
looks nice.
people seem to like it. It is a pain in the ass to maintain.
What's your rinse, lather, shampoo, conditioner? What's that look like?
So the thought is you're not supposed to shampoo every day. But I don't believe that, because like you have to go through this phase apparently where you don't shampoo for a little while, and then your hair will automatically adjust, and the grease will automatically like kind of whatever.
That's the way to take it.
I can't do it, because I go like 1 or 2 days without shampooing, and it's just like, it looks like I dipped my hair in a fryer. It's like disgusting. So I shampoo it pretty regularly, and I condition. I had to upgrade from just like the Head and Shoulders that I was used to. Like a lot of guys, like, I don't know what products you guys use, but I assume it's like you buy, if they made like a 12-in-1 thing, I feel like most men would just like a toothpaste, shampoo, conditioner, body wash, deodorant. Like, men would just be like, yes, give it all. I'm going to spray it onto this and just rub it on everything, and that'll get the job done. That's what I was used to. I have found that does not get the job done now. So it's becoming a little bit of a pain. So I think I'm going to get it trimmed. I think that's what I've decided. Like, when I get fully vaccinated, I'm going to trim it down a little. But I don't know if I can go back to like the crew cut, like, Midwest marked look like you guys are rocking. I don't know if I can do that. I don't know if I can get the Brad Davison look back. I think this is who I am now.
High and tight.
Actually, a good segue here. Just kind of talking about I guess avoiding the haircut because of the virus. This will make sense in a few seconds, I swear. The player of the year pick, you guys picked Bo Borowski, a referee.
The shocking development.
Yes. Out of nowhere.
I could not believe
field,
that.
Really.
Yeah.
We also kind of had a little bit of an off the wall pick. Our player of the year is Dr. Fauci. Feel like without some of his help, we might not have even been able to have a tournament again.
The real MVP.
Not sure how his post game is or defense is. Probably not great.
Now, some people in some parts of the country would argue maybe Fauci was trying to cancel the tournament, though. So it gets a little. Fauci one day would be like, sports are okay. Then he would say sports are not okay, and people would get panicked about that. And
was just building the hype.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was. I can't believe we had a tournament, man. It makes me so happy, because I'd kind of resigned myself when the Big Ten canceled football. I just like wanted to throw my phone into the ocean and just say, like, call me in 3 years when sports are back. Like, this is. I was prepared to not have really any happiness for a very long time, and then thankfully Ohio State led the charge, and
as they always do,
as the only respectable football program in the Big Ten.
Clip that.
Nebraska fans listening are like, no, hang on a second.
How was
it's funny because like Nebraska, if I remember right, like Nebraska was kind of leading the charge, but nobody cared because it was like Nebraska. No. And then Ohio State was like, yeah, we also agree with Nebraska, and everyone's like, okay, Ohio State leading the charge. I was like, wait, what?
That's exactly how it went down. And then we played them week 1 and kicked them around a lot.
That was funny. So no, Fauci's a good one. Player of the year, Fauci for and whoever, like, I wonder if the vaccine wasn't developed so quickly, if because it felt like that when news started breaking that we had a vaccine, it felt like people were kind of like, all right, maybe we can do some normal stuff more, and people were more receptive. And even though people not everyone has the vaccine obviously yet, but it did feel like some positive vibes were flowing. You know, we'll put it that way. There was positivity on the horizon.
Defense. Everybody knows that.
Yeah. Fauci versus Sister Jean, 1-on-1. Who you got?
I think Sister Jean. It's got to be. I'm Team Jean. Mean Jean.
We need a silhouette of Fauci, and he's got like a syringe in his hand, and he's
I could wear this, and Pat could wear that.
Yeah,
should be the new NBA logo, just the silhouette of Fauci with a vaccine.
He's got a mask on and a syringe in one hand, and he's going to like puncture someone's arm.
All right, we got one more.
And it says you have to make shots. That's what it says on the shirt. Is that too much? We're putting a hat on a hat at that point. All right, I'm sorry.
That's money. All right, so this is the one that we created. We didn't go through all of yours, but we've got one of our own. So the Mascot of the Year award. We've got a few nominees. Bruiser and Marigold. We were at Baylor for the Natty. It was awesome. It was electric. We were causing scenes, having fun. So we would party with them late night.
Okay.
Sister Jean, obviously. Miley Cyrus. I think she is a mascot in herself, a character in herself. Who else we got? We've got Isaiah Livers. This was one that I came up with. Pat didn't find it funny. Team Up North doesn't have a mascot. I found him as a funny thing along the way. And then your guy, Butler Blue. I know you got a nice
Butler Blue
picture with him. That field house, all that good stuff. So that is our crew. And
I think Hep Cronin was snubbed. If I'm being completely honest,
those are honorable mentions. Him and Bill Walton. It was a
Bill
slash.
Walton was snubbed. Butler Blue was we met Butler Blue in downtown Indy, and they trained this dog. When you say "Go Dogs" and stick your fist out, it fist bumps you, which is like I have a dog, and my dog's pretty well trained, and it can shake your hands and roll over and do a bunch of other stuff. So like I shouldn't have had my mind blown by that, but I think there's just something about it that's like, I don't know, like you teach your dog to shake. Everyone says shake. And then you meet a dog that like the command is not shake. It's just go dogs. And that blew my mind. I was like, oh my God, this dog knows, also when you meet a dog like that's owned by people that are English isn't their first language or something. And like they're speaking Japanese to the dog. And you're like, oh my God, the dog knows Japanese. This is insane. This dog's a genius. That's how I felt about Butler Blue. I was like, this might be the smartest dog I've ever met in my life.
And he has a Letterman's jacket, so he just looks like he's been around. He knows his stuff.
Mascot of the year. Boy, that's.
Well, do you want to hear our winner before we?
Please.
Counter. Pat, do you want to announce it or should I announce it?
I can announce it. I think we were, just because we did get to go to Waco and we partied up with Bruiser and Marigold, I think we were leaning towards that until we kind of realized we already have a mascot among us in Jack.
Yes.
Because Jack, I'm not sure, you don't know this, but I'll explain. We had a bracket challenge. Jack's bracket got all jacked up.
Yep.
So we kind of created this
It was
challenge.
trending for about 0 seconds.
0 seconds on Twitter. We had some teams and some people send him shirts of other teams, so he started wearing. Once Ohio State got knocked out, then he rocked the Texas shirt. They got knocked out, so it kind of became a curse. Then eventually, I think the curse was kind of lifted.
The curse was lifted, and I brought Baylor the championship. Long story short, I was the biggest fan in Waco that night. No questions asked.
By far. So we kind of realized, let's not, there are those mascots, but we have a mascot among our team, so let's give it to Jack. So Jack is our mascot of the year.
That's a great pick. then that makes a lot of sense. That's the way to do it, by the way, is just you just throw a lot of darts at the board and eventually one of them hits and then you take credit for that. You guys have figured out this sports punditry thing, I think.
Exactly. That's our deal. We're going to be traveling around.
You cast a wide net, you catch one fish, and then you come back to the docks and you hold up your fish and you're like, look at what I caught, everybody. And you bask in the glory of how good you are as a fisherman. And, and no one knows that you spent 12 hours out there, didn't catch jack.
I'm paying Express Fanatics shipping, but nobody needs to know that. The ultimate.
Oh man, what'd you say Baylor's mascot is, by the way? Is it not Chip and Joanna Gaines? I didn't know this.
They were replaced. They were replaced with bears.
They've been replaced.
Yeah,
interesting.
Fuzzy, Bruiser and Marigold.
Bruiser and Marigold.
Yeah,
but that's the real mascots.
Yeah,
their Instagram is, I think,
literally Baylor_mascots. So check them out.
Bruiser and Marigold.
I mean.
You're never
a mascot
heard of this.
guy. Don't you know all the mascots?
I mean, I'm apparently not as well versed in. Oh, okay, I see. I was picturing live bears. I'm gonna be honest.
Oh, they do have live bears as well.
That's a swing and a miss for me. I was picturing like Jackie Moon wrestling a live bear at halftime. I was picturing like that sort of deal at Baylor, that they just have like
that's all
live bears on leashes.
I think that combined with some of the drunk Baylor students might not have gone over super well, given that we were all on the field in close proximity to them. So it's probably better they were mascots rather than live bears.
I will say a private school in Waco, Texas, that feels like a place where and their nickname being the Bears, that does feel like a place that once upon a time they had a live bear mascot. Like, I would not be shocked if you told me in like the 40s they used to have a live mascot that, like, I don't know, like the captain of the cheerleading team would ride out into the field for football games. It's like it's a different time.
You wouldn't get it. Back in the day, we did things different.
Oh man.
So after knowing that now that Jack was our pick, you got your pick?
Yeah.
For mascot of the year?
Yeah.
You can agree too. You can agree.
I like Isaiah Livers. I gotta say, Isaiah Livers is a great pick. I think, boy, who else could we go with? Hep Cronin really did it for me too. I gotta be honest. I really Hep Cronin. I know he wasn't nominated, but I'm trying to think of the ones that you nominated.
He was
Bruiser and Marigold just doesn't do it for me. I don't like those names. I don't think. I think that's what it is. Like, Bruiser. I don't know. But yeah, lock me in on Isaiah Livers. I think Isaiah Livers, it became, because
I love that pick.
there were layers to it. Isaiah Livers was a freshman starter on the national runner-up team, and now it's his senior year and he can't play. He was starting over Duncan Robinson famously. And then now it kind of came full circle where he's like stuck on the bench and he can't do anything about it. So he's cheering the guys on, and everyone thought Michigan's season was over. And then they go to the Elite Eight and almost make the Final Four. And there's like magic maybe to Isaiah Livers. Also, he was like protesting the NCAA. So there's that too.
He was busy.
There's a lot going on.
There was a lot.
We got a lot of shots of Isaiah Livers, didn't we?
We got
like,
a lot
more than
that. We got a lot of like every time Michigan went on a 4-0 run, it felt like they were cutting to the bench and showing Isaiah Livers like just going crazy. So in that regard, Michigan really doesn't have a mascot. I guess I didn't think about that. You don't have like there's not even like I don't know. There's just literally no mascot. There's never been a mascot. There's never been a live Wolverine.
There was like a plush mascot, like costume back in the day and then there's been some that are kind of terrifying. And so Jack always says that the mascot is Jim Harbaugh now. So
yeah, he's a clown. He's an absolute clown. The worst actual mascot though, and you might have a different opinion on this, like the costume itself is Penn State's. That just looks like was like a third grade Boy Scout troop project, and that's what they came up with. Like
that looks like like the coach's wife of the team in like 1907 made this mascot, and no one had the balls to tell her it sucked. And then they've just kind of like, for tradition purposes, have just used it for the last 110 years. That's what that mascot looks like. It's very bad.
We did some drawing of mascots, and that one actually looks like we drew it because we are terrible artists. So
we treated all the.
I like one of my favorite mascots is Purdue Pete because Purdue Pete is just a normal human being, and everything about Purdue Pete should make like. And if you really think about it, the Purdue Pete mascot should just be what like the West Virginia mascot is, for example, or the Notre Dame mascot, which is just like a regular person just wearing different clothes. Mm-hmm. Maybe just a regular person with a hard hat and a hammer, and that should just be Purdue Pete. But they go overboard and they make this guy where it's like a half mascot. It's just a big head. He just throws like a big head on, and then the lower half. Purdue Pete skips leg day, and it's just like the lower half is not oversized, and it's just, like I don't understand the concept behind Purdue Pete whatsoever, and it's very fascinating because they just like give the guy a big head, and that's it, and they just left it at that, and I don't know.
That's the kind of
and he wears, Purdue. And if you really think about it, it doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't. I was there for that horrible football game a few years ago, and I remember turning around. It was like it was the worst game I've ever been a part of. One because we lost, and two because it was freezing. And, like, they have this whole arsenal of, like, famous Purdue football players, like Drew Brees with the big – he just looks like Purdue Pete, but with Drew Brees' face on it, and they come out of nowhere. And they had a whole lineup of them. Scared the hell out of me.
Yeah. Chris Kramer looked like Purdue Pete, too. That was I'll never forget that. Like, that was an all-time – I mean, Coach K has set the standard for looking like your mascot, I think. John Chaney was really good at Temple. He was He was also a great pick. Yeah. But as far as players to look like their mascot, I mean, Chris Kramer looking like Purdue Pete. I defy someone to find a better example of a player looking like your mascot than that,
I like that. Good take.
So we obviously a lot of notable names in the tournament, a lot of notable standout performances. They're going to be remembered for years to come. We just wanted to kind of pick 3 people. Doesn't necessarily have to be players, but kind of just pick 3 people that we think are going to kind of stand the test of time and are memorable. So I can go first. My first pick should not surprise you guys one bit. Max Asmus from Oral Roberts. I'm not sure if you can.
Yeah, they beat Florida, right? They took Arkansas to the brink.
Beat Florida and took Arkansas
that's
down to the
like
wire.
If I'm a fan of an SEC team and I see what Oral Roberts did to Florida and then almost did to Arkansas, I'm thinking like, man, the SEC sucks.
Yeah, I couldn't agree
like
more.
The way Oral Roberts just handed it to the SEC was a great story. I'm gonna agree. I agree with you, Pat. Yeah. I think Oral Roberts, the way they just took the SEC. Just dominated the SEC like that. I think they definitely deserve to be honored for this.
I just got a quick follow-up question. Is there an imprint on your desk at Titus and Tate from when you watched the end of that game? Because I know you had your head down for a little bit.
The funniest part about it was when they did the bracket reveal. I'm on camera and Ohio State pops up as the 2 seed, and I say, I wonder who our 15 is going to be. They show Oral Roberts, and I just instinctively cackled. Because I don't know why it just came out and I just cackled, and like after we did that, we wrap our bracket show and I look at Tate and I was like, I shouldn't have laughed. I was like, I feel like that's gonna be thrown back in my face, and he's like, yeah, whatever, man, who cares? He's like, you're not gonna lose, and I was like, yeah, we're not gonna lose, but I feel like I shouldn't have laughed.
I'm not gonna lie. I ordered an Oral Roberts shirt, and I may have just like thrown it away because I wore it for the one episode and was like, I'm never gonna need this again. But it was worth $25 on Amazon just to buy.
Jack? How is Appalachian State merch doing in Columbus?
It's on sale.
Still popping?
Yeah, it's popping off. It's a hot item there. That was a great game. Speaking of which,
yeah.
It was a good run. Yeah, Appalachian State lasted longer in Columbus than I thought it would, because I thought, Pat, it would be like what you said, like people would wear it for like a week and then be like, yeah, I'm done with this. But
people love that. That was week 1, wasn't it?
I will say this in terms of the Ohio State-Michigan rivalry, and obviously we know where I side in this, but
the right side.
I do get the feeling that, and maybe this is a feather in your cap, Pat, the Michigan fans, because Michigan fans are very pretentious and they love more than winning on the field. They love winning at the game of life and saying we're better people than you and all that sort of thing.
Michigan difference, of course.
Yeah, we're Michigan men, which is a class above.
Lake Michigan.
So I will say that I do get the feeling that Ohio State hates Michigan more than Michigan hates Ohio State. And I think if I'm a Michigan fan, maybe I twist that into being like a positive, where it's like, you know, we don't care as much, so that's why we get our ass kicked all the time.
It's easier to justify. Yeah, it's easier than it was during the Lloyd Carr era to have that be the justification of why we don't care as much.
But it's staggering to me because I grew up in Indiana, and I was not an Ohio State fan whatsoever. I didn't hate Ohio State. It just kind of was like another team in the Big Ten to me. And same with Michigan. And I would watch the Michigan-Ohio State game every year, football, and I was like, this is awesome. And I enjoyed it. But I didn't care who won. I just kind of watched I probably like Michigan more, to be honest. If I probably found myself cheering for Michigan more often. Yeah. So when I got to Ohio State, I learned to hate Michigan, and I learned about everything, you know, and I just kind of got indoctrinated. And the thing that I found so fascinating is how much – and by the way, I got to Ohio State – my first Ohio State-Michigan football game was the 1-2 game.
Pretty good start.
All time.
Yeah. I was there as a freshman at Ohio State, and I was like, this is insane. But that gives you a good idea.
Right?
Jeez.
I'm just kidding.
So basically, my entire run as an Ohio State fan, we've kicked Michigan's ass. I do not know what it's like to really lose to Michigan. So one of the things I found fascinating is that even in spite of winning every single year, Ohio State fans still every single year want to destroy Michigan. They have not let up one bit. The hatred that people in Central Ohio and this whole state of Ohio have for Michigan right now, as it stands in 2021, having beat Michigan like 20 of the last 20 times, whatever the numbers are at this point, it is just as intense as it was that first game that I saw. It's unbelievable.
At some point, you guys would stop caring so much.
You would think at some point, like at halftime, like Ohio State will be up like 42-7 at halftime, and you know in the locker room they're like more, and there's no like let's run out the clock, let's whatever. And I gotta be honest, I'm an Ohio State guy. I can't find it within me to hate anything that much, and I tip my cap to the people that grew up hating Michigan, because I'm like, you guys, it's another level, man. Like I want to beat Michigan's brains in, but like
Jack
not like that.
It's clear every day that he's not a.
Yeah. So
I was sitting on the sidelines in Ann Arbor a few years ago for the last game that we played, and we won. And I was talking to one of the guys from Letterman Row, and he was taking photos next to me, and I was like, it's crazy because at some point we are going to lose this game, and it's just a matter of when, right? It could be next year, it could be 10 years, whatever, and it's going to suck when it happens. But quick question for you. So I was pretty close with some of the football guys and being over there, and they put in like that extra time, you know, extra push-ups, extra workouts, whatever, all based around that game. Did you guys do anything similar to that from a basketball perspective? Like, how much did you guys hate Michigan from a basketball perspective?
No, that was what was weird too. Is like when we were there, Michigan wasn't. When I was there, Michigan wasn't that good. Like my freshman year was Tommy Amaker's last year. We played in Chrysler Center, Chrysler Arena. What is it now? They changed it, right? They changed it to Center, yeah. It's Chrysler Center now. What Chrysler? It was like the last regular season game of the year, I want to say. We were number 1 in the country, and I remember going into that game. It was like Tommy Amaker has to have this to save his job. If he can beat number 1 Ohio State, he will keep his job. And we kicked their ass because of course we did. And then he was fired. And then Beeline, it took him, you know, like he wasn't bad, but it like took him a little while to like build what we see now, which is Michigan being a basketball school. So basically, my 4 years there, Michigan was not great. Like they almost beat us in 2010 in the Big Ten title game, or not the title game, but the Big Ten tournament when Evan Turner hit the shot. You know, that was my senior year. But there aren't a lot of memories looking back of like an intense rivalry with Michigan. Like we as a basketball program, our rivalries were with Michigan State or Wisconsin it was just basically like who was good in the conference. And I don't even say this to talk smack. Like Michigan just wasn't like a team that was at that time. Like we didn't feel like Michigan was the team we had to beat to win the Big Ten. So we didn't really care. But at the same time, like the fans would get excited about it. So like we would lean into it a little bit, but not like internally there was never like it's Michigan week, guys. Let's lock in. There was never anything like that. No.
Yeah. So I guess my second pick is not related to that rivalry at all, but glad we had the discussion. Glad you guys have your wins in the rivalry. Hopefully I'll get mine someday. But my second pick for the notable names is not Evan, not Isaiah, but Eric Mobley. just want to give him a shout out. Papa Mobes. I feel like the him and Nicole's fantastic genetics obviously have played a big role on USC's squad and him being a coach there.
Big role.
I feel like he should probably just start holding up a whiteboard at timeouts, just saying, "Hey, I have 2 sons who are both over 6'10". No need to really game plan. Just like that's probably more effective at this
Get
point.
them the ball.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you remember when Andy Enfield offered the entire Bagley family scholarships just so he could get Marvin Bagley? Because that's one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, he offered every single Bagley child a scholarship at the exact same time because he was like, I want Marvin Bagley that badly. And it didn't happen. And so he pivoted. And a lot of guys would be like, I gave this man all I could give, and he still chose Duke. And a lot of guys would have been defeated by that. Andy Enfield said, no, I'm just going to pivot to another family, and it's going to be the Mobleys. I'm going to go all in on that.
I love it.
And I respect him for it. Yeah. It's great.
Yeah. So final pick. This is technically more than one person. Sorry to kind of break the rules of my own game.
Oh, no, your last
well,
one
yeah. Well, we're just kind of having fun here.
Yeah, that's what we do.
These 3 could have filled my entire roster. It's the refs who were sent home from Indy before the tournament even started. Obviously, Teddy Valentine being the most notable one. John Higgins and Roger Ayers were included in there. Just decided they wanted to get dinner and couldn't ref the tournament. So
no, that's good. That's good stuff.
I'm glad Roger Ayers is obviously he's okay. Like, I'm glad he's okay, but he apparently had like a real scare there for a while. That's what people were saying. That is he had quite the battle with COVID. But yeah, it's such a stupid story and so funny on the surface that I'm glad like nothing serious came out of it, so that we can joke about it moving forward. You know what I mean?
It would have been a lot more heated if it happened like mid-tournament, but luckily they got out of the way early.
Yeah.
All right, I'll rip through mine real quick.
Ted Valentine missing the tournament because he wanted dinner. It's so good. It's so good. It's
incredible. He does what he wants.
Anyway.
Okay, so my 3, I think number 1, Johnny Juzang. I mean, he balled out. He beat the team up north. He ran that tournament. I think that if you don't think about Johnny Juzang in years to come, what are you talking about? I mean, this is one of the big names from this tournament. The second one, also more than one person. I've got the Boeheim brothers. I know they're not actually brothers, but they went on a nice little run. We saw the video of Mello and Buddy, and that was great. You know, they played the underdog story as Syracuse often does. I like that. I think that's going to be memorable for years to come. And then the last one, I've said her name once, I've said her name twice. I've said it 101 times. My girl's Sister Jean. She's the storyline. She always has been, always will be. People love her. I love her. Yeah, she's someone I look up to. Look down to. Look up to.
The thing I love about Sister Jean the most is that we've seen Loyola Chicago go to a Final Four. We've seen them go to a Sweet 16. There have, to my knowledge, been 9 different guys that have started on those teams, with Cameron Krutwig being the one guy who started on both of them. Can America name one other person other than Cameron Krutwig?
I sure can.
Yeah,
the answer is no. And up until this year, I feel like America didn't even know who the coach of Loyola was.
No.
Porter Moser became like we kind of knew Porter Moser's name because of coaching vacancies that were around. He started getting floated more, and people would talk more about Porter Moser. But even then, like after 2018, if you ask someone to name, no one knew Krutwig back then. Like it was just like they go to the Final Four in 2018. It's like name one player or coach on the team. People would have been like, Sister Jean? Is she not a coach? Yeah. She's not on staff. I thought she run. She not the lead scout for.
She should
confused.
be. Yeah.
So that like think about that though. Like how great of a shadow do you have to cast on the program that no one knows anything else. No one knows a single player, a single coach. It's crazy.
She's just
legendary.
A frail old lady taking all the street cred.
It's legendary. So,
all right. Do you have any names that you think are memorable from this tournament? People remember?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I won't pick the same ones you guys did. So I'll try to like just add to what you've already thrown out there. Yeah. I think Jalen Suggs has to be in there. Yeah, the shot against UCLA. Does the shot still? Like, obviously, it doesn't matter as much, but it still matters, right?
Yeah, I mean,
it would have mattered more if they win,
but like, yeah, I think it's diminished a little bit, right, because of getting worked by Baylor. I think it's a little bit. I think
even if Gonzaga loses to Baylor, but it's like a competitive game, I think that would have helped the shot. I think like getting your ass kicked immediately
doesn't help.
That's brutal. Yeah, it makes it. That's kind of the problem when we do these exercises with the NCAA tournament is that like. I want to believe that all of this stuff matters like in the early rounds, but I feel like history says otherwise. Because if you think back on like tournaments 10 years ago or whatever, like the things you kind of remember are just like the teams from the Final Four, you know? And it's like it has to be really legendary to remember, you know, like I do think we'll remember Oral Roberts. I don't know if we'll remember that North Texas beat Purdue in the first round. I don't think anyone's going to remember that. I don't think anyone's going to remember that Abilene Christian beat Texas even. Like we remember it now. We'll remember it the next couple of years, but that's not, to me, going to stand the test of time. So I don't know. I would throw Davion Mitchell has to be in there.
Absolutely.
That guy balled out. He was unbelievable the entire tournament.
Both ways.
I thought he was. I wasn't sure if he was going to get drafted, or I assumed he was going to come back, because like a lot of mock drafts had him in the mid-second round, a couple months ago, and then like you watch this guy the last couple months, it's like my God, he's going to be like if there were 3 more months added to the season, he's the number 1 pick. Like if he just kept going on the trajectory he's on, he would have been by the end of it, he would have been the number 1 pick. So I'm throwing him in there. And then Heb Cronin for me. Heb Cronin is the story. I think like Mick Cronin has Jack, we got to see Mick Cronin up close and personal in Ohio. Like this guy was a troll, like in every sense of the word.
Absolutely.
Like his entire existence to people in Ohio is like just an angry little man who's just like I'm being honest. Like that was the perception of him, was just like. He was very hateable for a lot of different reasons, and he's chill. He's moved to LA. He's chilled out.
He's one
Weirdly,
he's one of them.
He's He's taken on a bigger job, but somehow like become more mellow and chill about it all.
It's that lifestyle.
And this NCAA tournament run was fueled by his father, and I think having his father there just made him like see the bigger picture. I think I think Heb Cronin's presence is what fueled UCLA to the Final Four and brought UCLA back to the blue blood table. So I think we have to acknowledge Heb Cronin.
Got that extra game, and they were cooking. I think starting out that early game got him moving before other people. I like that.
Yeah,
Cronin. Shout out Cronin. All right, real quick. So I don't know if you know this. Yesterday, my man Pat here turned 33. I know you're 33. As well. I'm 26. I'm a young gun. I'm the face of still eligible. So I wanted to ask you two. I don't know if Pat saw this coming, but looking back at when you were 26, and what have you learned, since then, and what advice can I take all those years and jumble it up and just give it to me and prepare me better for the future?
Pat, do you want to take this?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing that comes to mind for me is just. I would say start stretching, because I have the worst lower back of all time, and that is kind of expanded into other areas of my body. And I used to still don't stretch, but I wish I had started stretching at 26.
I've got tight hamstrings.
Yeah,
that's good to know.
Yeah, and when you do get, but like you're gonna take a lot of time off in between physical activities that you do. Like you might not play. There's going to be long stretches where you don't play basketball, like I used to play all the time, and now it's like months go by before I play basketball. And what happens is when you dive back into the activity, you trick yourself into believing you're going to be just as good as you were.
This is quick,
and you overdo it, and that's how you.
That's where you tweak the hammy.
Yeah, you got to be smarter.
Well, Mark, before you go, you're 33 now, but you're turning 34. That's
Jack. I know how it works.
Basic mathematics.
Like, thank you.
It's basic mathematics. I know.
You're gonna get older. Yes, I get it. Yes, thank you.
I blew it. But 34 means more to you than to me, to Pat.
Yeah.
I was getting somewhere before you yelled at me.
All right.
34. That's your number. Or like
that is my number. Yeah.
I was telling Sandra yesterday, and she didn't even know this was a thing. Like there's a thing called like golden year, where it's like you turn. 27 on the 27th. That would be me this coming year. So there's that. But like you get 2 golden years. This is a big year for you, 34. How do you feel? How you feel? You look great.
I know. I appreciate that. You came back around. You won me back over. I thought you were just going to point out that I'm going to turn 34, and then after that you will be 35.
Well, that's how it works.
And you're sounding like my grandmother there for a second. Like, you're not married and you don't have kids, Mark. The clock is ticking. Let's go. Yeah, no, I'm excited. I actually don't mind aging at all because I am one of the guys that absolutely hated my 20s. My 20s were the worst. Not like for any specific reason other than just like it's for me, looking back on my 20s, it was just a time of uncertainty and feeling like the world made no sense. And I was expected, when you turn 18, there's this pressure, at least I felt, that like you're an adult now and you could go to war and you can buy cigarettes, so you now are an adult and have to understand how everything works. And I was like, I am not even close to understanding any of this. I don't know any of this. I barely know how to drive a car. Like, this is insane. And so my 20s were a lot of anxiety of finding my place in the world, especially when I got out of college. Like, that was really bad because at least when you're going through college, there are just steps along the way where it's like, I don't really know what I'm doing, but I do know if I show up to this class and get enough answers right on the test that I get to move up to the next level, and that's how it works. And then you get spit out of college and there's no more levels. Good luck, man. Figure it out. And I was like, yikes. So I'm one of the guys that have enjoyed getting older. I certainly am not the first to make this observation, but I do believe it to be true that for me the 30s are basically what I wanted my 20s to be, except now I have money, which is great. Like I had no money in my 20s, and I'm not necessarily a rich man now, but like I can do things and not like figure out how I'm going to pay for them, which is unbelievable. It's a great feeling.
Nothing wrong with
that. So yeah, getting older so far has been great. I enjoy it very much. Also, like I've always been a little older in terms of like, I don't know. I didn't really go out much in my 20s. I wasn't really a club guy. I wasn't really.
We clubbing now?
No, I'm not. And what I'm saying is like it's more. The older you get, like the more acceptable it is. Like no one in your 30s, Pat. Like if you get together with people at 33 and you're like, yeah, I don't go clubbing. They're like, yeah, no shit, dude. You're 33. Why would And like it was always harder for me when I was like 25 for people to be like, yeah, so we're going to the bar, and I'm like, okay, cool. What time? Like 9, 10? They're like, no. We're gonna pregame at my place, and then around like 2:30 we're gonna go hit. I'm like, what? We're gonna do what? When? At what time? No, guys, I can't do that. And now, as I've gotten older, you find yourself in fewer and fewer of those situations, and it's great. So I've actually enjoyed it. And like, I'm kind of finally, my peers are like catching up to the lifestyle that I've already lived. I had a house in my 20s. Like when I was 25, I lived in Hilliard, Ohio. I lived in the suburbs, and I was cutting my grass, and like I was obsessed with like having a great lawn, and that was my life. And my other 25-year-old friends were like, this is ridiculous. And I was like, no, man, just believe me. One day you're going to catch up to this. You're going to realize this is life. This is what it's all about. Is keeping your lawn looking good.
Keep it green. That's all.
I'm getting older, and like now it's more acceptable for me to say those things. And people are like, yeah, dude, I get it. You're an old guy now. So anyway.
That's awesome. Well, we'd be remiss if we didn't mention Club Trillion. We wanted to mention that. Honestly, I mentioned it earlier. You are the ultimate walk-on. You were an inspiration to us bench riders along the way. I find myself rather goofy. I actually got yelled at in high school. I went on a cruise at some point. We went on a couple family cruises besides the point. And I made friends with the stewardess who taught me how to fold towels. And one time I was on the bench, and we were beating the team pretty well. And I was making swans on the bench, which, I kept the bench loose. I was chirping other people, whatever. And my coach turned around to put me in. He's like, what the hell are you doing? And I was mid-swan. So I think you'd appreciate that story. But leading into that, we do this thing called I'll Leave You With This, where we kind of tell a funny story. We've read your book, Don't Put Me in Coach, Club Trill. We love it all. There's some good stories in there. I don't know if you've got anything that we can leave the people with. It's out there. I'm sure you got something, though.
Yeah, I guess my favorite story from the book, or my time at Ohio State being a walk-on. I don't know. My favorite story changes every time I'm asked, but this is when I think about it right now. My favorite story is when I first joined the team at Ohio State, which was out of necessity for them. Like they were so low on bodies for practice that they called me, and the idea was like I was just going to get my ass kicked in practice for a couple weeks until they figured out the long-term plan. And then I ended up sticking around. But I remember when I joined the team as a walk-on, at the time I had a pretty big beard. I've always had like a beard. I've always like kind of kept it like this long, it's like a little stubble, But at the time I'd kind of grown it out a little bit. And so my first day of practice, I get the call like the night before. I was like, hey, Mark, because I was a manager. I had been a manager on the team, and I quit because I was lied to about what a manager was. I was like, this is the dumbest. Who would want to do this? So I quit that, but like the coaches had my number, and so one of the assistant coaches calls me. He's like, hey, we need you for practice tomorrow. And I was like, I'm not filling up water bottles, coach. I'm not doing that. And he's like, no, we need you to like come practice with the team. So I was like, okay, cool. So I show up, I didn't have a lot of time to prepare or whatever. I show up the next day, I throw on a practice jersey, and I go up to practice, and I'm shooting around, like trying to stretch, and I have no idea what's coming and all that. And Coach Mata walks in to practice, and he pulls me aside, and he's like, Mark, he's like, don't overthink it. Like don't be nervous. There's no pressure or whatever. Like it's all, this is going to be easy. We just need you to kind of run some drills. Like it's not, don't worry about it. Yeah. I was like, cool. And he goes, oh, one more thing. Now that you're on the team, I'm going to need you to shave the beard. And I was like, yeah, coach. I was definitely, because he was like Coach Mata grew up, my understanding is he grew up like an IU fan and loved like Bob Knight. And like he very much subscribed to like the Steinbrenner thing where it's like everyone's clean cut, high and tight, like he would be enraged that I've grown my hair out and have a beard or everything. So he's like, now that you're on the team, I need to shave my beard. And I was like, no, coach, I get it. Like I was going, and I was being serious. I was like, I was definitely going to shave, but I got the call late last night, and like I didn't have time to, and I was kind of going over all this stuff. And as I'm saying this, Greg Oden walks into the gym, and he walks right by us, and Greg has his beard. I had never noticed it before, but Greg's beard is like massive, And I just point, and I was like, but, and he just looks at me, he's like, he's Greg Oden and you're not. So it's just that. And he's like, good luck today. And then just slaps me on the ass and walks away. And that was my start to my walk-on career was learning. And it was a great lesson in life that he's Greg Oden and I'm not. And, and that was kind of my 4 years there. It was like just trying to carve out my own path and realize that I am not Greg Oden. So I need to be myself and
made the most of it.
And I made the most of it, and I still have a beard, so suck it, coach.
Amazing. Well, Mark, thank you for coming on. Is there anything you want to plug real quick that we might not have touched on?
I don't think so. Titus and Tate doing that show. I also do this show with Charlotte Wilder. We call it the People Sports Podcast. We have some fun doing that, so you can check out that. It's lighthearted and fun.
Make sure to follow Mark on Twitter at Club Trillion, at Mark the Shark 34 on Instagram, obviously at Titus and Tate on all social. Mark, thank you so much for having us. I would like to say if you need us as correspondents for the Duffys next year, we're available. So
yeah, you guys did good. You guys had some good input. So I'll pass word along to the committee and see what they think. Great. I mean, they sometimes do not like outside influence.
That's
so
fair.
I don't know.
That's fair.
But,
their decision making process is a little mysterious. So we'll see. But
it is very mysterious. That is for sure.
I appreciate you coming on. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thanks guys.
Yeah, thanks so much, Mark.
Thanks, Mark. Awesome interview with Mark Titus, Mark the Shark.
Absolutely loved it. Had a blast.
Had a great time. Had a great episode. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much.
This is still eligible. Before we officially sign off, it was my birthday.
Yeah, nobody cares, Pat. Nobody cares at all. I was nice earlier. I'm not going to be nice again. Appreciate you. You know where to find us every Thursday on your podcast listening devices. We'll see you next time. Go Bucks.
What is this, 2001 podcast listening devices?
It's an hour and 20 minutes. People, if they make it this far, bless their hearts. I love you, Grandma.